Hello everybody, welcome to the Durand Creekside Disc Golf Course where you will be watching a second place tiebreaker handicap match between Judd Walden and Blake Durr. Within our Scratch Tag League this year, we also offered a handicap portion to some members who were interested. Kind of a test run this year to see how it goes. I think it went alright. We might have more people interested in it next year. But we are starting out on hole 8. I did not get their drives, but Blake did unfortunately go out of bounds to the right. There are some fairways that are marked out there in different patterns because somebody was feeling goofy when they decided to put the patterns out there. Judd had a nice little putt right there. Blake taps in for a triple, unfortunately. Blake catches the branches to the right and drops straight down. Judd had a pretty solid drive on this one. He landed just inside the circle to the left. There is OB behind the basket of number 9 here. Judd's putt there, just a little bit to the left. That did roll towards the OB, but did pan out safely. There's a par for Judd. Now, Judd needs to win by 4 strokes or more. Blake needs to be within 3. If he's within 3 or less, then he will win. Unfortunately, you can see he's down 4 strokes to Judd at the moment. We're only a couple holes in. Nice ace trace right there. You get to see the flight of Blake's disc on that. Here's Judd going to give this a solid rip on number 10. What the? Whoa, what is that? Let's back that up. Try it one more time. Yeah. Not sure what that was, Judd. Sorry, I had to. It worked out pretty good. Everybody was laughing about it. These two gentlemen were having a good time out there throwing. It's just a picnic, and you know, there was second place at stake here, but outside of that, they know that it's normally just friendly competition out here. No need to get worked up. This basket, number 10, was in the long position. There's a creek on the backside right there. Blake caught that tree, saved it from going too deep. Judd with a forehand there. Looked like he had some distance on there, pushing that creek bed, but he did land safe. Normally we play the path as a hazard stroke penalty, but within this tournament, since there's a bunch of extra out of bounds lines out there, the path was safe to land on. Blake had good touch to keep his from bouncing off the cage and rolling into the creek. Judd also looking at a death putt there, came up just a little lower, a little short. Here we are on number 11. Blake grip lock, unfortunately going into the creek, out of bounds to the right. The path is, the grass to the left is out of bounds. There's an out of bounds line right in front of that, down the length of the way. It's about a 370-foot shot with a right turn down there, very tricky. Judd, solid rip down there, skips off the path and pushes that out of bounds line, but did ultimately land safe. Smooth flick right there, unfortunately catches a branch. Blake going pretty overstable right there, trying to spike it around the outside. Judd between the trees, right at the base of the basket. Wow, what a putt by Blake. See that again. Beautiful. Teeing up on 12 here. Judd already teed off. He ended up down the path and just to the left. Blake also on the left side of the path. The basket sits over to the right, so that's not a bad place to be over there on that shorter grass. It opens up your shot just a little bit more, unless you have a pretty solid forehand. The ground there the little dry can get a little skippy and trickle down towards the creek. It does kind of act like a little bit of a peninsula in that position there. From here, we're going to move on to hole 13. Oh, just missed the putt. Move on to hole 13, which is an island hole. Didn't get the disc out of Judd's hand, caught the very end of the flight, and it went just over the basket there. You can see in slow motion that disc just over the top. He did land safely in the island. The other 3 members of our card, Blake, myself, and Seth Maxwell, unfortunately did not quite land the island. Judd for birdie coming back, a little bit low. Another serious death putt right there. Even from the drop zone, you can bump the cage wrong, lands on end, and you are in the water. So we're lining up on 14 here. See Judd's up by 5 at this point. or Blake down by 5. Judd bit off some pretty good distance there. A little worried on whether or not it skipped off the path and went into the creek to the left. The creek does pull in from that side. He did land safe. Blake getting it over the creek, biting off a little chunk there. Really smooth little Andy forehand right there for Judd. Did land safely. This is actually Blake's 3rd shot. He had a little trouble on his 2nd shot. Went right between the trees to the right, and it settles right at the base of the basket. I asked Blake if he intended to do that because it was a very good shot, and he said no, he was trying to go to the left. Next time I ask you, own it. It looked good. Looked like you meant it. But it all worked out. I didn't get Blake's drive here. Judd ended up a little bit left. His forehand came up short. You can see his putt also came up short. Ooh, Blake just off the cage. It is out of bounds to the right, and long grass beyond the basket is also out of bounds. That's kind of a tricky placement. And now we here on 16, the long grass is out of bounds, and the pond to the left is out of bounds, which it does narrow down before it opens back up. Blake's shot is a beautiful shot, and is right in the middle of the fairway. Judd lining up to give it a solid rip. Yanks it just a little bit to the right, fighting back. Unfortunately, that it lined up out of bounds, so he moves ahead where it crossed out at. And then his next shot lands out of bounds, so he lines up again. And he crosses over inbounds, but ends up as turtle food. Blake with a putt attempt coming back. So Judd ends up taking 3 circles on that one. He went out of bounds 3 different times. Taps him there for a snowman. Blake definitely gets a few strokes back on Judd there. This is a combination hole of 17's middle tee position to a temp basket beyond where 18 is going to be after the construction. Judd went a little deep because it does play as a peninsula round to the right side behind the backstop. He crossed an out of bounds line there, but he had a very nice upshot from that position. Blake, he played it down just a little bit further, which is just fine. It's a little bit safer that direction instead of flirting with that out of bounds. Judd flirting with the out of bounds on a missed putt and saved by first base. Blake had a putt right there, and he ends up getting a stroke on Judd on that one. So in a couple holes there, you can see Blake is now within 1 hole, or excuse me, 1 stroke. Judd's drive on hole number 1 right there, it does go out of bounds line, kind of turn up that side there. He did land safely in bounds. Blake went pretty stable on that one and caught a tree. Creek is right behind the basket. Judd gets close, but he did stay in bounds. Blake's look at it. Getting a little concerned there too, but that also landed perfectly good in bounds. Excellent putt by Blake. And a putt by Judd. We're moving on to hole 2. Blake is within 2 strokes of Judd. Judd's looking at the hyzer to the right side. I've never really seen him do this. Honestly, this is my first time seeing Judd take this route. I usually see him try to take it to the left side with a little turnover, but the winds were favorable that day. If the wind comes from the left, the disc usually gets pushed down. It doesn't make it quite that far back. Little ace trace right here, showing the flight of the disc around those 2 trees. Coming over here through the end, there's going to be less shots per. I didn't necessarily get the drives on all of them here. These boys came out to play, and they were eager to start throwing. So that was Blake's 1 putt is all I got for hole 3. We're already on hole 4 and down the fairway. Judd looking between 2 trees right there. Very tough position to be able to get it right up to it. Clips the tree and still kicks him away just a little bit. Yeah, you can see there on hole 3, Judd had taken a bogey on there, and Blake's putt was for par. Blake teeing off on 5 from a long position. We're playing to 5.1 or 5A's basket. It plays like a double island, so you have to land this island that's within the path right there that they are in. It's out of bounds just past that walk path, but it's back in bounds on the other side of the creek. Judd played it down and then decided to cross over at that point, which he does very well right there. Blake has a lot nicer angle at it right here. And makes it perfectly good down there. Much closer than what Judd is to the basket. There, you can see the line on that with that ace trace. wind started kicking up just a little bit at this point right there, which would be kind of tricky for the next hole being an elevated basket. But on this one there, you can see Blake had a nice little upshot right there. Judd's tap in, and Blake's tap in. These two gentlemen were very fun to watch throughout this tournament. They were having a good time. It's coming down to it with just 3 holes left, and Blake is within 3 strokes. Judd, early release, catches a tree. Ooh, looks like Blake tried to put a little extra juice on there and grip lopped it just a little bit into the trees. That's a tough position to play from within those trees there, but they did kind of go back and forth on that basket due to the wind over there, and Judd ended up getting a couple strokes on Blake on this one. Here's their shot on 6. It is out of bounds about a meter to the left of the path. There's a drawn line out there. Then it opens up closer to that 480-foot basket. Creaking right, it is out of bounds. Judd, you can see his flight right there. You'll see how his disc landed down there in just a moment after Blake's drive. You can see that Judd has 6 strokes on Blake now. So Blake has some work to do and not much time to do it. And unfortunately, he never crossed over inbounds. There's where Judd's disc landed. He was safe there. Blake was holding out on us because that boy, after throwing from the drop zone, he had a kind of a tough look at the basket there, decided he was going to forehand it, and it was a very, very smooth forehand. I think he was holding out on us all year and didn't want to show his cards. Unfortunately, a little too late here. Judd ended up taking the round by 8 strokes. So Judd does end up in 2nd place, and Blake is going to show us that forehand again next year. Excellent round watching these two play together. It was a good time, a lot of smiles, a lot of laughs, and a beautiful day for disc golf. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.